and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, I make videos all about Chicago, things to do, apartments, and a little bit of Trader Joe's. Today we are doing another Q&A. I put a question box up on my Instagram and asked you for all of your questions, Chicago related, apartment related, and wanted to answer all of the questions that I possibly could for you guys. A lot of Chicago questions. There's a lot of apartment questions too. There was a lot of questions and I'm here to answer them all. I am here to be your Shy City Sherpa. Let me answer everything I can for you and give you all of the advice and tips that I didn't know when I first moved to Chicago. All right, starting off, do you think it's possible to find a studio or one bed for $2,000 or under? Yes. Okay, wait, please hold. I need my spreadsheets. We have these crazy spreadsheets that have all sorts of info tracked on them. I am focusing in the downtown area, so everything from South Loop to Uptown, Logan Square to Streeterville, that kind of general circle. The average price right now, and this is being filmed on August 4th, is $2,383 for a one bed and $1,830 for a studio. Keep in mind, this is average prices, so it does vary pretty wildly. As if you're flexible with location, yeah, absolutely. We could definitely find a studio for sure, just about anywhere. One beds would be more location specific for under 2K. We are still in summer, so our pricing is still really, really hot, but historically, prices do go down in winter. There's just less of a demand. All right, this one is, I'm looking to move there this fall and wanted to know if there's a rent difference between October and November. I have a chart for this as well. Prices typically are slightly lower in November than they are in October, but like very minutely. October to February, that's low season. That's when we see prices really dip the most, kind of right at December, especially around Christmas time, because people aren't really renting very much then. That's when we see the very best deals, but anytime within that window, your prices are going to be lower. So would November be a little bit better? Possibly, but it's going to be so comparable and those prices will already be better than what we're seeing now that I would say it's not really enough to skew a huge decision, because depending on where you end up, it might be exactly the same as what it was a month ago. Okay, this person said, could you please give some tips for international students for finding an apartment? A lot of times the students that reach out that want my help are looking for short-term and furnished, and we just don't see that a lot in Chicago. Furnished apartments are super, super rare. They are typically way expensive in the city. It is much cheaper to just buy your furniture. And then short term, number one, typically leasing agents aren't paid out on short term. Depends on the building, but most of the time we're not. Number two, they're more expensive. They end up being at a higher premium, and so that doesn't really work either. I know there are a couple of companies that do more so student housing. That could be a route to look into, where you pay for just your room and it's like lightly furnished, and then you have like common area with other roommates. But the other thing is, if you can find roommates, sometimes that can be a huge savings. I just found these two students a beautiful one bed, and they're gonna be putting bunk beds in the main bedroom because it's just like such a great unit and they wanted to live in that building so bad. So I don't know if that was helpful at all, but finding a roommate helps. I feel like the elephant in the room in this question box is I have so many questions about safety. Best neighborhood for a single female 34-year-old living alone. How do you stay safe in case you're walking around the city late at night? Safety tips, how to get to know the city. There's a lot of safety stuff in here. Always be aware, you are living in a big city, and to be completely honest, crime can happen anywhere. My tips would be always be aware of your surroundings. I've had my phone stolen out of my hand because I was not being aware of my surroundings. So now I have this like wristlet on it. Do I think that this would stop someone from snatching it out of my hands? I don't know, it might break, but it makes me feel a little bit more confident at least. If you're walking down the street and you have AirPods in, either have one AirPod out at all times or do where you have the transparency setting on the AirPod Pros. You want to be aware of your surroundings. Don't leave phones in pockets or places that people can see them and can easily reach in and grab them. My mom got her phone stolen out of like one of those water bottle pockets in a backpack. My phone is usually in my hand. Pepper spray can be a good one. I've had a friend carry a taser. Just make sure if you do carry something like that, you fully know how to use it and it wouldn't be used against you. I also always feel more comfortable walking around in areas that are highly populated, so I don't love going down like quiet tree-lined streets. I like being in areas where there's lots of eyes on me and I can always ask for help if I need to. And worst case scenario, always get the Uber. It is not worth you feeling unsafe and scared to save $15 when you can just get an Uber to go home. Spend the $15, get the Uber, make yourself the priority. Okay, I want to move there and buy a condo. What are the best for living areas to avoid buying in? Honestly, as far as neighborhoods go, and I am going to be filming a whole neighborhood video where I'm going to try and break down what my thoughts are on all of the different neighborhoods in Chicago, which like there's no way I'm gonna touch on them, but I can hit like some of the bigger ones. I don't really have any advice for you on this one, except to go and walk around and experience the neighborhoods. What's really frustrating is every single time, without a doubt, that I go to another neighborhood, I am walking around and I'm just like, well, I could live here too. I fall in love with every single place that I go to, which makes it really hard to want to buy because I love everywhere. So just see what kind of fits your lifestyle and what you're looking for. But there are so many amazing neighborhoods in the city that you can't really go wrong. Where are the more affordable neighborhoods in Chicago? So obviously anything downtown is going to be way more expensive. The further north, west, south, the further outside of downtown you get, the better deals you'll have. My advice just being, no matter where you are in the city, make sure you have a full understanding of all of the fees and everything, because a lot of times in those landlord units, your base rent might be lower, but when you add in utilities and everything, it might turn out to be a lot higher. I highly recommend try and find somewhere where gas is included in a utility package, but gas prices are crazy. And I literally had someone in a townhouse where their gas bill was like over $600 in a month. And they were like, I cannot afford to live here. Pros and cons across the board, but just in general, the further out you get, the cheaper it can be. If you are really flexible about what type of apartment you have. All right, this one is move-in day process, coordinating with moving in with a pod storage container. So 90% of places in Chicago will not allow a pod storage container. I'm actually gonna bump that to 99% of places in Chicago won't allow a pod storage container. The way that pods work, they get dropped off on a certain date, you pack it up yourself, and then they'll come and pick it up like the next day or something like that. In Chicago, there's just not streets that you can leave a pod on. They can't be like parked where you can normally park a car. That makes it so like most places cannot accommodate with pods at all. When moving into an apartment complex, they cannot have a pod. You have a 4-hour window usually for loading docks. And so you'll need to have something on a truck where it can get wheeled away right away. There might be ways around this that you could work with a pod company. I don't know them, but from everything that I've heard, it's basically a no-go in the city. Move-in day process though. If you are moving into a professionally managed building, basically how it works is that morning or whatever time you guys specify, you'll go, you'll pick up keys. Sometimes they'll have you do like a brief little orientation on the building to make sure that you have everything set up as far as your like ComEd account and your insurance. All of those things should be set up before you pick up keys. They might walk you through amenities, tell you of any other rules, blah, 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 give you a full debrief on it. But then you'll have your keys to your apartment. For professionally managed buildings, just about across the board, you will have a freight elevator with a reservation. So those can usually get blocked off for like 2-hour increments. And then you would have rights to the loading dock as well as the freight elevator. And they would only let that freight elevator go from ground floor to your apartment floor. So no one else can take it in between, which makes it really great because you can just load up the freight elevator totally full, ride it up to your floor, unload it into your apartment, and then you're good to go. If you have movers, they'll let the movers use the loading dock and the freight elevator. If you're doing it yourself, it's basically the exact same process, but buildings are really good about it. They make it really, really seamless at this point. All right, moving from abroad, what internet companies work better, cost versus benefit? Across the board, most people don't have big internet problems. I feel like I hear the most issues with Comcast, but like, I really don't know. We use AT&T in my apartment. What I've heard has been just like phenomenal across the board is if your building offers everywhere wireless, people tend to really, really like everywhere wireless. It is a Chicago local company, so if you ever have an outage or any problem and you hop on a call, you are talking to someone who actually lives in the city, which is really nice. And they are typically priced really cheap. If you're looking to do a bundle with like cable or something, Everywhere Wireless doesn't do cable. So you would need like an AT&T, Comcast, RCN, one of the other ones. But actually, I don't even know that RCN has cable. Anyways, but if you are looking for just internet, Everywhere Wireless has been the one that I've heard recommended the most. All right, this one is average square footage of a 2-bed. It's a very hard question because it varies wildly across the board. I want to say like 1,100 would be my guess for an average price 2-bed in a building. But it totally depends. If you are looking in older buildings without laundry unit, maybe 1,300. If you are looking in really modern buildings that are like brand new builds, typically those are smaller, those might be closer to like 900 to 1,000, but somewhere in that range would be my like rough guess. It just like varies so much place to place. Are parking garages typically better, cheaper than apartment parking options? I feel like they used to be, but it seems like everyone got a car during the pandemic, so a lot of parking garages for buildings are on wait lists, which has made it so a lot of people have moved to like the private parking garages. I used to say parking prices are anywhere between like 200 to 300 a month, but honestly at this point we're more so seeing things be between like 250 to 300 a month. Parking has gotten a lot more expensive in the city. Every once in a while before, you used to be able to find a good deal for like 175 here or there, but we're really not seeing that anymore as the demand for parking has gone up. If you can get parking in your building where you have an access point straight into your building, I think that is well worth it over parking somewhere down the street if you're able to. Currently right now, a lot of people when they're getting their apartments, they'll be put on a wait list and they'll have to park off-site for a little bit until a spot comes available, and then they can move over into the actual building. All right, last question for this video, and this one is average price for a one bed around 650 square feet that I've seen. 650 is kind of like right in the point of like what I think is most average as far as one beds go in square footage. So you're not asking for anything like particularly large or particularly small. I think that kind of hits the head on the nail. The average price that we're seeing for one beds across the city of Chicago is $2,380. So I would kind of say that that's probably a really good reference point as far as what you should expect to spend if you are looking at one beds. If you're looking to be more so in like your River Northwest loop, it's gonna be more expensive than that. And when I have clients who are on a little bit tighter budgets, we can still find options. I just won't be able to have as many options as I typically would like to send someone. But I think that's a pretty good like estimate of what we're seeing for things. All right, guys, I feel like that was a lot of apartment questions. Hopefully that answered some of yours. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment them down below. Also be sure to follow me on Instagram because I do post these Q&A bubbles every once in a while, and I would love to answer some of your questions. If you haven't hit the big red subscribe button already and you've made it all the way through this entire video, what are you doing? Hit that big red subscribe button. It means so much to me. I've appreciated so much. You guys have allowed my channel to grow, and you are all amazing. If you are looking for an apartment, I am a leasing agent with Compass, and I would love to be able to help you find your next apartment in the city. So my job form link is down below. Feel free to fill that out, and I will get in touch to be able to help you find your apartment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.